98% of the world's electronics, from your phone, PC, and tablet, to fighter jets and even spacecraft, rely on semiconductor chips. These chips fall into two main categories: mature chips, which are 7 nanometers or above, and advanced chips, which are 5 nanometers or smaller. But here's the shocking fact: only 2 companies in the entire world make advanced chips. Samsung produces about 7.5%, while Taiwan's TSMC controls a staggering 92.5%. That's exactly why the United States protects Taiwan from China. But here's the big question: if China invades Taiwan, will it be able to produce advanced chips on its own? The answer is no. Because to make 5 nanometer chips, you need a special machine called EUV lithography, and only one company in the world, ASML from the Netherlands, builds it. Now imagine, what if ASML stops selling its machines to TSMC and Samsung, and decides to make chips itself? Would that completely shift the balance of power in technology? And if that's the case, then another question arises: why China, the so-called factory of the world, still can't make a 5 nanometer chip? For the full story, check out our long video on Geo Breakdown.
The Dutch rose to defeat the Habsburg Empire and become superbly educated. They became so inventive that they came up with a quarter of all major inventions in the world, the most important of which was the invention of ships that could travel around the world to collect great riches, and the invention of capitalism, as we know it today, to finance those voyages. They, like all leading empires, enhanced their thinking by being open to the best thinking in the world. As a result, the people in the country become more productive and more competitive in world markets, which shows up in their growing economic output and rising share of world trade. You can see this happening now as the US and China are roughly comparable in both their economic outputs and their shares of world trade. As countries trade more globally, they must protect their trade routes and their foreign interests from attack, so they develop great military strength. If done well, this virtuous cycle leads to strong income growth, which can be used to finance investments in education, infrastructure, and research and development. They must also develop systems to incentivize and empower those that have the ability to make or take wealth. In all of these cases, the most successful empires used a capitalist approach to develop productive entrepreneurs. Even China, which is run by the Chinese Communist Party, used a form of this capitalist approach. Deng Xiaoping, when asked about this, said, "It doesn't matter if it's a white cat or a black cat, as long as it catches mice. And it's glorious to be rich." To do this well, they must develop their capital markets. Most importantly, their lending, bond, and stock markets. That allows people to convert their savings into investments to fund invention and development, and share in the successes of those who make great things happen.
These experts deliver a clear message. The COVID vaccines, especially those using mRNA technology, should be stopped immediately.
I think I'm uniquely qualified to speak on what's been going on for the last years. I actually have degrees in applied mathematics, immunology, computational biology, biochemistry, and molecular biology. These things need to stop being pushed and given today. Not one more shot should be delivered. It's the constant same message that's not true. I'm referring to primarily the safe and effective message still being put out today. These mRNA products specifically, those are the ones I know the most about, are neither. The main message is that the people who are injured, who haven't made the connection between, why they're injured and why they're suffering, I want to provide them, the most help. First of all, to know that they're not alone. If they're being gaslit even by their own doctor, there are people out there who are establishing protocols to help the vaccine injured.
The post Paul Marik is recognized as one of the world's top specialists in pulmonary and critical care. Having authored over 500 peer-reviewed publications, he is established as one of the most published physicians in his field.
Many diseases.
Paul Marik and his team are working on solutions for what he believes is a health catastrophe following mass vaccination.
They were never safe nor effective. They've harmed countless millions of people. It should never have happened. And it's a tragedy that it was allowed to happen. These so-called vaccines, I think, represent the worst of COVID and the worst of this deceit, dishonesty that we've seen. And I think we provide part of the answer to this terrible problem we're facing.
Experts critical of COVID vaccines point to biopsy findings, thousands of case reports, and large studies which they believe reveal real harm.
If you haven't yet detoxed from the vaccine, now is the time to act. Lingering spike proteins in graphene oxide can be very dangerous to your body over time, triggering chronic inflammation, blood clots, immune system dysfunction, organ damage. And the spike protein will also attack and destroy your endocrine system, which can cause changes in your mood, as our endocrine systems are what makes our hormones. And this will directly affect our moods. So if you're going to choose one of the professional detoxes I've tried and recommend, then you will have two choices. Either for you living in the US or Canada, which will be the top link, or for those living in the rest of the world will be the link at the bottom. This will ensure that you get the lowest cost shipping possible. And most importantly, be you.
When they first found petroleum, because they were beginning to make motors and needed on axles of wheels on railroad trains and all that sort of thing, then oil went from just a lubricant to a fuel, and it made it valuable. And Rockefeller happened to be the smartest man in the business at the time. So in order to get the price up, they hit on the idea that they would have to make it appear to be scarce. In 1892, there was a convention in Geneva of scientists to determine what organic substances are. Well, the definition of organic is a substance with hydrogen, oxygen, and carbon. Rockefeller took advantage of sending some scientists over who said oil, petroleum, is hydrogen, oxygen, and carbon. They defined oil as a residue from formerly living matter. Well, that makes it a fossil fuel. And another thing we should know is that there has never been a fossil, a real fossil, found below 16,000 feet. We mine oil, or we drill for oil, at 30,000, 33,000, 28,000 every day of the week. So right there, we rule it out that it isn't fossil fuel. It's called fossil fuel for the minds of the public to feel that it is an asset that is running out, being depleted. We talk about depletion allowance, which is a lot of, and actually, if you know the world's oil supply, you know that it is not going to run out for an awfully long time. It is the second most prevalent liquid on Earth.